can show someone, and my medium is to show it through camera, how beautiful they are from the inside out without that box definition, that helps them build confidence.
Welcome, Supermoms, to Mom's Talk. Our today's Supermom guest is joining us from New Jersey. She holds a PhD degree. She is a pharmaceutical executive, a founder of You Shine movement, welcoming the award-winning photographer, Kapu Patel. Welcome to the show, Kapu.
Thank you for having me here. I'm so excited to be here. I've heard great things about your show, and it's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Kapu, let's start with talking about your pharmaceutical background. What kind of a role were you playing at work in this field? If you could shed some light on that.
So like with any long-term career, it evolved over time. As I first started with my PhD, I ended up as a bench scientist, but very quickly I found my strength less on the bench and more with people. So I ended up in a management role, ended up managing a group of scientists in the R&D capacity. And then from there, I evolved into working with marketing folks to come up with new ideas and portfolio planning and strategy in the end. And then at one point in time, I became an entrepreneur and started my own pharma company. So yeah.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful, Kapu. Now, talking about the pharmaceutical industry or medical field in general, we all know that there are, rising prices in medical costs. What are your thoughts on that? Because I know, Berkshire Hathaway, Chase, and Amazon, they all also came up with this one project and were trying to reduce the overall cost. But Walgreens is not doing very well in that too. What is it that it just does not work? Why is it so complex?
I would highly advise those who challenge the cost of rising prices in the pharmaceutical field. And look, let me rephrase this by saying, so we'll start all over again, right? Any product or any development of a drug takes years and years and investment that is beyond imaginable to an average person, right? And a lot of the funding of that comes from the US pharma industry, and the beneficiaries are people around the world. So yes, the prices are high, but more importantly, I think we as human beings have decided that our way of life relies more on taking a pill than taking a holistic approach. So if we take a holistic approach on living, maybe those prices won't be so jarring for us.
I like the way you said, we need to focus on the holistic approach rather than just the medicines or the pills. And it's a good start. There's something that people are getting into that mode now, taking care of themselves, improving their food habits. This is something which is also very important. Taking a dive into your photography field, your creative mind now, Kapu. I know you have a very different perspective of photography. I remember the first time we spoke, you told me that, through photography, you can actually build self-esteem. What is your thought behind that?
So we believe, and by we, I mean myself and my studio manager and anybody who walks in through the studio, we believe that everyone is beautiful in their current way, shape, and form. Everyone has a light inside them that can shine and help energize other folks. And it's important to bring that light out. And what I have found, and the reason I ended up doing what I do, is that with our current societal definition of beauty and what the media, which I know it's changing a little bit, which is great
Mm-hmm,
to
mm-hmm,
see. Projection of what a beautiful person looks like. It's all physicality, right? And the
mm-hmm,
idea is if you can show someone, and my medium is to show it through camera, how beautiful they are from the inside out without that box definition,
mm-hmm,
that helps them build confidence.
mm-hmm.
They stand 2 inches taller, they walk with a little spring in their step.
That's great, and I love the idea behind it, you know. Um, how do you make it happen though? You know, when people come to you for a portfolio, everybody is not very comfortable facing the camera. And when you talk about bringing the inside person out, and it's just a picture, it's not even a video where you can actually learn more about the person, who that person is from within. How are you able to bring that out with your clients? How do you do that? What's the magic behind it?
So, in like the traditional way, you could say light camera action or light camera shot, right? But
Hmm.
light and camera is just a tool. That's like when a chef makes an awesome meal for you, right?
Hmm.
It's not because he's got the best stove or the latest, hex-clad pan or a silicone spatula. Just like with the chef. And have you ever eaten a meal that you're like, oh my God, this is amazing? And it's mostly the ones that come from like your mom or your aunt, because it's the
Hmm.
love that goes into it, right? That
Hmm.
energy just makes that meal taste so much better. So photography is also like that, in the sense that, well, first of all, no one walks through our studio where I haven't connected with them personally before.
Hmm.
So it's not like we can just have an assembly line and we photograph them.
Hmm.
We get to really truly know them. Sometimes I'll ask questions that really stump them. It would be like, okay, just take me to a place where you are the happiest.
Hmm.
And they'll say, okay, maybe when I'm playing with my children. And that's where it could stop. But I could say, okay, where are you? Like literally, physically take me there. What are
Hmm.
you doing? How does the smile on your children make you feel? So there's a lot of layering that goes into it. And
Hmm.
once we kind of get the idea of what brings people joy when they come in here in front of the lights, that's our foundation from which we make them feel that they're
Hmm. Hmm.
themselves. So the long and short of it is, when you are genuinely yourself in your most joyous state,
Hmm.
you're beautiful no matter what. And I just
That's
have to
so
be here
true.
and take a picture at that point in time.
That's brilliant, Kapu. You know, interacting with your clients just beforehand, you know, making them feel comfortable, taking them in their happy state or happy phase, and then taking these pictures. Now we know the secret behind it. So thank you for sharing that. So what do you have to say about all these phones that we have with these amazing cameras, and then everybody has a phone in their hand, everybody takes a picture? What do you have to say about that? I mean, you know, there are a lot of photographers, there's so much that goes into it. You just explained us, it's an entire process. It's not just sitting there and then clicking a picture. It's not as easy as that. There's so much that goes behind it. And now everybody has this phone and everybody is a photographer in their own way. Is it hurting the business? What are your thoughts on that?
Not really, because I feel that we, as a photographer, first of all, we offer an experience to you. So when you come to our studio, whether you come for yourself or you come as a family, or, I do a lot of children by themselves, like tweens and teens. I do mothers and children or fathers and kids. For them, when they come to the studio, they come for the experience. The photos are the outcome, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they come because they are here to connect with each other. like they
Mhm.
ideally would like to. And when they are present in the studio, when they're with each other, when they are in their best form, it's not that we are creating that, we're just creating an environment. We're not posing them.
Mhm.
And that is something that not everybody who has a phone can do, right? So my studio manager laughs about it, but she says, we're more therapists than photographers.
Hey, that's where the magic lies, though. That's what
Yeah,
brings out that
yeah.
joy and the real person, and which aligns to your thought process too. As you say, it's not about just taking a picture, but it's about telling the story behind who the person is through that picture, and which I think it's a beautiful thought.
So I actually have a question or a
Sure.
thought for some of the audience, and that is like, have you ever gone to a party and one person starts taking a group picture and you take it and then you go through it and you're like, oh, I didn't like myself in here. Let's take another one and take another one. And you're now spending a good part of that gathering where you were supposed to be with your loved ones and
Hmm.
enjoying the moment. Instead, you are busy doing this, right? So
Actually.
I think, and our job as a good photographer is to not have you think about being photographed. I literally
Hmm.
say, I make you forget there's a camera between us. Like, forget there's a camera. Be together, be who you are, and everything else will fall into place.
That is so true. We go out to a place, and then the first thing that we do is take out our a camera and then take like dozens of pictures, and they sit there for so long, and then we're like, no, this is not good, this is good. But you're in the process, you're kind of not enjoying the present moment. And you very well said that. That justifies why we need a professional than just we doing it by ourselves. That's wonderful, Kapu. Being in this creative field, it's kind of different, when you are, especially work. When we talk about work, especially the creative work, it becomes overwhelming sometimes, and kind of takes a pressure on ourselves. How do you combat that?
So I think in my particular case, and a lot of photographers' case who came here from a creative journey, when you turn it into a business, that is completely like you have to channel energy in running a business like a business.
Mm-hmm.
So that definitely takes away a good chunk of my time, right? Like I couldn't just be in a cave somewhere and like dream up creative shoots. That doesn't happen. But having said that, I think, so I'll just walk you through what my process looks like. If
Mm-hmm.
you come to me and I do these sessions called a You Shine session, which is a celebration of a person, and it's a very in depth interview process, I literally sit down just by myself a day before, or maybe even the morning off, and imagine myself being through that person and how to visualize and bring um, that element or the layer of themselves out into a portrait. And that kind of gives me a lot of creative, and people do give us creative licenses, right? Like when they
Mm-hmm.
come to us, they're like, we trust you, you do what you do. So all these women who are standing behind, each portrait has a story, and we try to capture that story about them into the portrait. So you do get some of that creativity. And then other times you just, you have to take time out for yourself. Like, in
Mm-hmm.
any field, you have to do development,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I sign up for creative photography classes that are on like fashion photography. I don't do fashion photography for my business, but
Mm-hmm.
I like to expand myself and try these different genres so that I can learn from them. What is
Mm-hmm.
the trend? How do I, even a simple thing like, I want to channel the light differently. How do I do that? So you play around with it. You have to find the time to do it though.
So research and development is something which goes
Yes,
on in whatever you
exactly.
do. A little bit of research
Exactly.
and developing yourself. That's amazing, Kapu. How do you pick yourself up in your toughest times?
Oh, good Lord. It is, you know, I will tell you, I can pretend to say, oh, I'm one of those that I'm always positive, but that's not the case, right? So during tough
Mm-hmm.
times, and particularly, I'll tell you, I'll give an example. During COVID, this studio that you're seeing behind me, I had just knocked the wall down and
Mm-hmm.
committed to building a studio, and COVID hit and everything stopped. And we were not considered essential, so we were closed for a good 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
It's it was a challenging moment, but I love being behind the camera and with people in front of me. And I needed to feed that part of my soul. So we launched two different um, sessions where we went to the businesses, like we stood, 20 feet outside the businesses. We interviewed them, we photographed them, and we shared their story as to how they are being resilient in their times with other businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And we did a family section that way and raised funds for a local homeless shelter. So when you're down, gratitude with what you have and finding a way to feed your soul, just even the smallest thing will shift your energy and bring you into a place where you are like, okay, this is something I can handle. So that's usually my approach.
That's
And it
amazing.
always helps to put music and dance, like dance it all out.
That is so true. That is so true. When that is the time when you're just getting, instead of being sucked into that situation, you come out and you explore something new. And I think interacting with a lot of people really helps, no matter which situation you are in, whether good or bad. When you talk to people, when you face them, there's so much that you learn from them. So it's a wonderful way and a very unique and a very positive way of bringing yourself up and gathering yourself.
And I'm
That's
not saying
great.
don't cry. You should cry. You
Hmm.
should cry your heart out, but then pick yourself up and find one fun thing to do, whatever that may be.
Absolutely, absolutely. Being a technical person, Kapu, do you think it has helped you in your creative work in any way?
So I think it takes the fear away from trying new things. It takes away the
Hmm.
fear of failure, right? Because as scientists, most experiments fail. You don't know what the outcome is going to be, right? So
True.
I think that burden of not knowing the outcome is very, very helpful.
Hmm.
And when I first started, I don't know what I was thinking. I'm a pharmaceutical scientist. I'm like, I'll build my own website. I'll do this. I'll do that. So you try different things. And then at some point in time, you realize, like, there are experts. Let me leave it to them.
Hmm.
But it makes you less fearful to try new things. And if it fails, it fails.
Hmm.
Try
Hmm.
something new.
Absolutely. How did the switch happen, Kapu, from being into the technical field for so many years, doing so well, and then suddenly a shift, taking up your passion as your profession again, getting into something completely new? Was it difficult? How was it like? You're getting a steady income, which is coming every month. You don't have to think much about it. And then suddenly you're into the creative field and then you're starting something. It's just, it's your baby. It's something that you started from scratch.
I'll tell you, I this may sound a little cliche. And so I want to be very sensitive for people who are listening to this. I want to make sure that, I was fortunate enough to switch. Okay. So let's get that out of the way. Not
Mm-hmm.
many people have the ability to switch, partly because of responsibilities. I was fortunately, I was able to switch, but my husband actually gave me the biggest gift. I always say this is the best gift he's ever given me. When I was going through, and it was a lot of personal thing. It was with my dad's passing away, my choosing to be at work when he was in a hospital. it's a lot of personal challenges that I faced. And when I came home and I said, I don't think I want to do this anymore. Like, I don't want to ever have to choose between parents and attending to a client or an important call. And he said, money will never be enough. So you find what you like to do. I was always a photographer. I did a lot of landscape portraits. I sold them. I supported Homefront with the sales of those. So I'm like, okay, there's something here. Maybe like, you in the times when you're struggling internally, you always find something of that gives you joy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And picking up a camera always gave me joy. So I'm like, okay, let me start here. And then during Hurricane Sandy, I actually used that for a fundraising effort to photograph people. Like, oh, pretty cool. I could
Mm-hmm.
photograph people. But like you said, people have a lot of cameras. They take pictures, but whatever the output is, they don't like themselves seeing like that. And so the
Mm-hmm.
first few people I approached, like, I don't want to be photographed.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I had to kind of take my science brain on. And I'm like, there's some data here. Like, let me understand why people don't want to be photographed, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it is a little bit about how you look physically on the outside. But at the end of it, I'll tell you the fundamental thing is if you try to see yourself in the way your loved ones see you,
Mm-hmm.
you will always look great in that picture.
That's lovely. I love the way you think, Kapu.
So, I just got you a smile because I took you to a moment when you thought about how your loved ones see you, didn't you? Amy? For that
There
moment,
you
did you go there?
go.
Your
I'll tell you,
smile
you're a
says a
magician.
million. So
Absolutely.
it wasn't easy because I thought I will build it and they will come, just like
Mm-hmm.
the field of dreams, but nobody came. Because, in a science field, you're like, you publish your article, you get whatever, the
Mm-hmm.
outcome is, and you get rewarded based on that.
True. And you
Here I
get it
had to
right
put
away. I mean, you know that you're going to get something out of it. The work that you have
whereas
done.
here I had to put myself out there, go out, meet people, like it's now I'm selling to consumers directly, and I'm selling something that they didn't think they needed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a portrait celebration for yourself. They're like, no, 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 I got this. When my baby was 1 year old, we did the cake smash. We're done.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to figure out when my child leaves for college why we need a family portrait. So it was challenging, but I think you just have to persevere. If you believe in it, if you have certainty and conviction, just stay on the path. It'll come to you.
Beautifully said. What would be your message for all the mothers, Kapu?
For the moms,
Mm-hmm.
be very gracious and kind to yourself. Watch how you speak about yourself because your children are listening to you.
Mm-hmm.
And they have self-esteem and confidence. No matter how many times you tell them you're the best, you're good enough, unless you talk like that about yourself, your children will not get your message.
Mm-hmm.
So be very kind and generous to your own self.
Beautifully said, Kapu. I think that is what you pointed out is really important, taking care of yourself, understanding who you are, and just being comfortable with that. Um, and the way you said it, the entire journey that you have shared with us, it's been wonderful. It's been such a pleasure talking to you. You actually took us to a different world and put that beautiful smile on our faces. So thank you for doing that. And thank you for sharing your secret with us.
Hey, no secret. Next time somebody asks to take your photo, just, channel the way people who love you see you and watch. It's going to be magic.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time, Kapu. It was wonderful talking to you today.
Thank you, Amni, for having me here. I truly appreciate it. And you're doing great with speaking to moms because somebody needs to be bringing all the moms together with the message. So thank you.